This is the reason why I like working with rubber bands. So welcome back, friends. One of my favorite things to do, rubber bands. Oh, as many times as I do this, I cannot stop because I love the result. And it's so easy, and maybe you don't have one that's all dried up in a ball like this, but I'm sure you have rubber bands. And they're inexpensive if you don't have any. I also like those little tiny rubber bands. So we're going to use a little bit of both today, and we're going to make some prints. So let's take a look. So I like to reuse my rubber bands again and again because I love kind of how they get a little bit misshapen. And I also have a little bag of the tiny rubber bands. We're going to use this rice paper. I will leave a link in the description below. It's a pretty nice, I think it's a 9x12 sheet, and it's a very nice weight of rice paper that works very, very well. It's a little on the creamy side, less white, but it's a beautiful paper. So I'm starting with a phthalo blue in the green shade mixed with a tiny little bit of Indian yellow. That's going to give me some greener parts because I do a lousy mix on purpose. Anyway, I'm being very random about the rubber bands, and I forgot to mention I'm also going to use deli paper. So in between, I'm going to pick up with some deli paper because I'm going for the ghost. But I also love the deli papers too, so nothing gets wasted. When it comes to rubber bands, I think I like the deli papers even more than the final papers, but you'll have to decide for yourself whether you agree with me. I really like these, bold shapes that you get. But look at this ghost. It has a very three-dimensional quality to it. That's what I love. It looks like, shadows. So I'm going to let that dry completely before I put my second color on top of it, because if I don't, I'm just going to smear it. So this is Golden's Teal. I love, love, love this color. And also I find that the golden fluid really picks up well. I know it's a bit expensive, but it's worth every penny. So you'll notice that I'm not waiting too long in this video for picking up. The temperature has been fixed in my room, by the way. I am now at a good 73, 74 degrees, and I have not noticed any problems with picking up my paints. They are not drying on the plate before I even have a chance to pick up. But I'm waiting about even less than a minute. I've sped up a tiny bit, like maybe 150%. It's not really quite 200%. So that print was a much needed first print, but cleaned the plate really well. And now we're going to do a second one. So this one I added a little bit of teal to, as well as the Indian yellow. And we're going to go for the ghost again. But this time we're also going to use some tiny rubber bands. Pick up with the deli paper again. Now you really have to get in between those little openings. So that's why I really like the deli paper. It's going to leave me with a clean ghost. The background is going to be mostly picked up, and we are going to, and because it's so thin, you can really get in and around all those little rubber bands. Plus it made a nice deli paper. And again, beautiful ghost. I probably should have tweezers to pick these things up so that my fingers don't take any paint off. Okay, so this time we're going to pick up with the yellow, and I did not wait for things to dry. So you're going to see it smears all over the place. But in this case, it actually was a good thing that it happened, because I got a nice colored background. Mixture of yellow and greens. Happy accident. And this is going to be a layered print, so this is my first layer on the rice paper. And it's so nice, I was tempted to almost stop there, but I didn't. Okay, so now this is Titan Buff, nice and opaque, like titanium white. And again, I had some paint on my brayer, so it's mixing with the Titan Buff, and it's making a nice green, little greener around the edges, which is very nice. And this time I'm going to be using my rubber bands as a mask. So when I put the rice paper down, because it's not quite as thin as the deli paper, I can only go so far around. I don't get the detail that I got before, but that's why we're using it more as a mask, so it's not as necessary, and we get like a really fun result because of it. Absolutely love it. So you'll see we didn't get a clean ghost because I was using the rice paper, but that's okay. We're going to pick this up with another color and see where we can take it. But look at that paper. I love it. Okay, so I waited for it to dry this time. And we're going to pick up with the teal. And you might be curious, over on the right, I am using a 9x12 newsprint pad as my brayer sheet. That way, if I like any of those sheets, I can probably use them in collage. So I'm waiting for it to dry a little bit. I could kind of feel it with my hand. And as you could see, I'm getting like really good pickups, and I'm not waiting a long time. Love this paper. I don't know why I don't use it more. So I'm going to put a second layer on this, and I have my Indian yellow mixed with a little bit of the blue. So we've got some greens going on, and this is very transparent. So when I go over that print I just made, we're going to see through it, and it's going to be even more green, I should say, because it's really going to mix with that teal that's underneath. And we got a ghost. So I'm going to mix this. I'm hoping this ghost mostly mixes with this gray color that I have. We're going to get a really warm gray, and we're going to use this as a mask. So this will be our third layer on top of that one that we just did. Not so sure this was a great idea, but I wanted to try it. I think if it was brighter colors underneath, it would have looked good with the gray. But not so sure I like it. Well, when you have a really opaque paint like that gray, you could see how it really does mask out beautifully. Now I love this ghost, so I'm going to wait for it to dry. And we'll see if we could pick it up. And again, I'm going with the teal. Maybe I should have picked a darker color. I think they're almost too similar in hue, and it's just not gonna, the contrast is not gonna be there. So leave a comment below and let me know if you've ever worked with rubber bands. If you've watched my channel for a couple of years, you probably know that I use them a lot. Just curious if anybody else likes them as much as I do. So see, there isn't any contrast there, but we'll see if we can layer on top of that. So now we're going to start with just a single layer that we'll do rubber bands on top of, starting with the background. Okay, I'm going to switch up the color a little bit. This is a quinacridone red, and I'm mixing it with a little bit of Titan Buff. Trying to be as random as I can possibly be. We're going to use the deli paper to go for the ghost. So we're not waiting for it to dry. We have to kind of work quickly because we want to make sure that this paint is still wet so we could pick it up. I think that a lot of people who are still having trouble are still having trouble understanding when it needs to be wet and when it needs to be dry. So it needs to be wet if you're going to be picking it up right away. But if you're going to pick it up with another color, then that other color needs to be wet. But the color that you're trying to pick up needs to be completely dry so you don't smear it. I hope that makes sense for those of you who are maybe still having a little bit of trouble. So I'm going for a nice dark mask this time. And I want to see these bright colors through a nice dark color. That's a pretty interesting ghost. While it's still wet, I'm going to lay it down on top of this other paper that was, you know, not very overwhelming. Just not a great paper. Maybe this will improve it. Yeah, much better. So now I'm going for a white, well, almost white. And we're going over that same one again, doing a nice mask. I do like masking. I like negative compositions. Sorry, my desk is like, my camera is attached to the desk, so when I get a little aggressive with the rubbing, the whole desk shakes and then makes the camera shake. That's not bad. So another thing you should be thinking about when you're layering like this is contrast. Light layers, dark layers, medium colored layers. That helps with your composition. So I had this nice ghost and I pulled out the stamps. I figured, why not? I'll try to link both these stamps in the description below. One has like swirls of like circles in a swirl, and the other one is just dots. I think the one with the swirls is part of a set, so I'll link that below, but I'm not sure about the dots. I might have gotten that at Michael's. I'll have to check it out. But if you don't have stamps, you could always use cardboard. Other textures that you might have around the house. It looks really pretty underneath, so I have a feeling I'm going to like this print. So I was waiting for it to completely dry because I don't want it to smear. And I'm just going to pick it up with titanium white. And this one I think I do wait 2 full minutes for it to dry because I really wanted to make sure I got it. Okay, so let's see. Because I waited longer, it is resisting pulling off. But wow, perfect. It didn't rip at all. Okay, so let's do a recap. So the very first paper I made was a deli paper, and that was to leave me with a ghost. But these are the kind of ghosts that I really love. We could obviously see through them, and it will make a great collage paper somewhere down the road. This is the ghost that it left me. It also cleaned my plate. I had a couple of stripes of red color on there. My least favorite paper, probably. It's okay. There's pieces of this that are going to be wonderful in a collage, but overall it's not very exciting. Same thing with this deli paper. It was a necessary paper in order to give me my final result, but you know, it's just okay. This is another deli paper that I really like because we have some interesting things going on here. I just tried to do something a little bit different, and that led me to this, which is one of my favorites from this session. I really do love the way this came out. This is the kind of layering that I really love, and when you see through the final layer, which is like the mask, you see all these interesting things, but you see, ghost of other stuff in here, you can see through even the opaque layer a little bit. Now this is a really opaque layer. This was the gray, kind of mixed a little bit with the Indian yellow, so we got a very warm gray. I'm not in love with this, but I think it gives you a good example of when you have a really opaque layer and how the other layers come through. You got to play with color combinations and see how you can get this to work really beautifully. One of the ways I got it to work really well was this one. This is pretty opaque layer, and we do see the other layers below. I love seeing that quinacridone red, a little bit of green, that was just, this color on my brayer that mixed with the yellow. The messier it is, the better sometimes. So even though I should have waited for my brayer to dry a little bit more or for it to clean a little bit more, I like how it mixed with the yellow and we got that beautiful green. So this is, actually looks like brush strokes, and this was all from the rubber band, the ghost that was left of the rubber bands, I should say. Another one of my favorites, I wish there was some more dark blues down in here, but wow, I mean, I just put white down, but the blue wasn't dry, so we got this pale blue. Pretty opaque, you do see a little bit through it. I do like it a lot, but my favorite was the very last paper. So the ghost from here, right, left this. And this is when stamps really come in handy. So I used the stamps a couple of times. I love these little circular lines. We didn't get the entire circle, we just got a bit. As the paint was drying, it was still coming off. I love these dots. It always makes an interesting paper. Plus, we have some other colors that came up. I mean, it's just fantastic. And I kind of knew it would be, because when I lifted that's my little, I always do that. I always look underneath to see what kind of ghost do I have, what color colors do I have in there. And can sometimes be some surprises. So I really, really love this paper. Hopefully you can see that, and the light's not reflecting too much. But my two favorites probably, well, no. I have 3 favorites in this session, so, you can't beat it. 3 very successful papers. I have an announcement. I have been selected to be in this year's Gel Summit 2025. So Drew, if you don't know him, he's also on this YouTube platform. I think you pronounce it Drew Steinbrecher. And he's also a fabulous gel printer with a graphic design background, I'm pretty sure, because his work really is beautiful. It's a very high contrast graphic. It appeals to me more than most, his work. And I was very excited when he invited me to be in this year's Gel Summit. So I've created a lesson. So I'm one of 14 artists that are invited. He does this every fall. And we are right now in the process of collecting people who are interested into a wait list. So follow the link in the description below. I'll see if I can also put up a QR code here for those of you that are watching on television. That way you don't miss out. You want to just follow the code and then put in your email, and I'll put you in a special list. So even if you're on my email list, do this anyway because it puts you in a special list, and I won't forget to send you the discount code. That will be coming in about, I don't know, a week and a half, I think, from the time this video posts. So I'm not exactly sure of the date off the top of my head. This Gel Summit is going to be in October, but the information for you to save money will be coming soon in an email from me. That's if you sign up for my wait list. So I am honored to be invited and to be one of the 14. I will include more information in the description below about all of the artists that have been invited. I'm sure your favorites are there. If you're watching me, you've probably watched them as well. Okay, so that's the announcement. Great news, right? So thank you for your support over the last couple of years. It's because of the success of this channel that I've been invited to participate in the Gel Summit. It's because of you. So thank you very much for watching week after week, and thank you for watching this week. And don't forget to create, inspire, and share, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.